Welcome to the New Year's Eve edition of Brian and Ben's Barbecue and Bourbon podcast. Thank you for being a faithful listener. Tonight we have another guest, our second guest on the show, Craig Whiteford. Did I say that right?
Yeah, you did. He didn't say Whiteford. He said Whiteford.
Whiteford. Okay.
Impressive.
Good. So we had a pretty good meal tonight. Do you want to start talking about that, Brian? Maybe go over what we had?
So I was given a gift on two picanha steaks, 2 3-pounders. First time I've ever tried picanha or tried cooking picanha or whatever. So I did a bunch of looked at a bunch of different videos on YouTube. Ranged anywhere from one guy actually cooking it like a brisket, which I wasn't a big fan of. To
did he wrap it and everything?
Yes,
did he go to that
it was
level?
just like a brisket. He took it up to like 200 degrees. I was like, "You're going to ruin this thing." But I mean,
fat.
Yeah,
There's
it's
some
like
chunks on the outside, right?
I mean, it's got a fat cap on it like a brisket does. But yeah, and with all due respect, his thing was he was doing it as a test. So basically, he had never cooked it that way before. So he did it on a smoker, literally the same procedure that you would go with, with a brisket. Came off at 200 degrees. He cut it, and he swore by it. But I've only got 2 of these, so I didn't want to risk it. So the one I had before was over at a friend's house where he cooked it on an artesian grill. And that was amazing.
Walk us through the artesian grill.
So an artesian grill is basically you've got a firebox below where you put some coals.
So you get that thing really going?
That's not no open flame.
No open flame?
It's just hot coals.
So you like shoveling that on there after?
So what he did was he also has a pizza oven, and he took some of the coals from the wood fire on the pizza oven and he dumped it in the artesian grill.
That makes sense.
So that he was using that as his heat source. Then an artesian grill has the griddle part of it, or the plate part of it, is tied to a cable system with a pulley, and then you control the height of the rack above the flames to control your temperature. So you crank it up for less, crank it down for more. So he did those, and he kind of did them like what we did, and I'll go into this later, was some people cook it like a brisket, some people cook it as almost like a roast, where they'll season it, and then they'll put it in, they'll bring it up to 120 degrees, and then they'll reverse sear it on a grill.
And what kind of pellets are you going with this time?
So I was just doing my typical signature blend from Traeger. Yeah. So in any case, so he did that, and then he had it cut up into steaks, and he sliced it into these little 1/4-inch slices, each of the steaks. And that's exactly how I did it tonight.
Yeah, it was great. Yeah.
So the third way to do it is you do it like a roast. And Malcolm Reeves, we call him, fat guy. Never trust a skinny barbecuer.
Nope. If he doesn't have sausage fingers, he's not
my
good.
Gosh. But so he was trying this. It was his first picanha. He did it on a Pit Boss, I think. No, he did it on a barrel smoker.
So he hung it?
No. So the barrel smoker he had, like at the bottom of the barrel, it was a bed of coals that he put, like I think hickory wood chunks on it, and then above the grate he put the
okay, so he put it on a grate instead of a hook.
Correct. And then so another way you can, I'll get into this, but there's another way you can do it. And then of course it's got this barrel lid that you put on it. So he took it up to it was a whole roast. He didn't cut it up into steaks. He took it up to like 120 degrees and then finished it off and then cut it. But I mean, I've never seen him get that excited about it, and it was.
That fat on there is so delicious.
So I was going to do it like that, and then I found this other guy, and we'll post in the comments links to these guys. They're all really good. His last name's Sias or something, but he's one of the real heavy beard, tattoos. He gets on the beginning of the podcast smoking a cigar in his Florida home. He has this whole outdoor kitchen. Well, so what he did was he took the roast and cut 1.5-inch steaks out of it.
Really?
And then he seasoned all 4 sides of them, threw them in the refrigerator, let them sit there and dry brine for about 4 hours, and then he smoked them, and then he reverse seared them on a grill, just like we did. And I followed his recipe.
Okay. So that's one cut when you're starting out tonight.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, I'm showing up and there's 4 different slices or 5 or whatever it was.
Yeah, so each steak, I don't know if you saw, but each steak was, if you can imagine a picanha, basically a picanha is the sirloin cap. Mm-hmm. So it's got a fat cap on it, but it looks like almost like a triangle, kind of like, almost like a guitar pick. It looks like a guitar pick. That's the best way I can describe it.
Now, when you get that big chunk, are you trimming fat like a brisket, or
No,
you leave everything?
I leave everything on it.
Okay.
Now, there was one of the steaks that, like, you try not to want to get over.
The fat was so good, I wouldn't take anything off.
I did a little sliver off of it. Just one area was almost like nearly a half-inch thick.
Okay.
So I took a little sliver off of it, but that's about all the fat that I trimmed. And then I actually took the point of it off to basically what you want to do is when you cut these into steaks, you want to go with the grain. So I figured out where my grain was. I cut the point off perpendicular to the grain, so I knew what how to cut it, basically.
Yeah, kind of figure that out. Craig, have you had picanha before?
I hadn't had picanha before.
Neither.
It was good stuff.
Yeah. That was probably my favorite.
You talked it up for weeks, and it definitely lived up to the expectations. So.
Yeah.
And the fat cap was really nice. It was nutty finish. It was good.
Yeah.
Tasted like it was dry aged, but it wasn't.
Yeah, that's what you said. It's like, and then I don't think these were dry aged. I mean, I can pull the other one out of the freezer and I'll show you what it looks like. But
it had a huge beefy taste to
Yes.
it, which was really nice.
yeah.
So, Craig, you're no slouch on the smoker. You want to walk us through like a brisket process, maybe? We got the Traeger over here that's pretty straightforward, but
Yeah.
do you want to talk about your setup, maybe nerd out a little bit here?
Sure, yeah, no problem. So what I usually run is like a Texas-style offset smoker. So you'll get the firebox on the side. So when I usually do a brisket, I'll do full point Packer brisket. Prime, you get the best ones from Costco. Mm-hmm. And trim it up just a little bit, not taking too much off of it, probably about a 1/4 inch fat cap keeping on it, trimming any brown off of it, and then trimming any small ends. Like Brian was saying, the tail pieces sometimes get overdone.
Okay.
So on a brisket, if you have any piece that's sticking up, I usually trim that off because the flow of the air over the top of it's going to dry that piece out, and it's just going to become like a vestigial little nub that you wouldn't want to eat.
Right.
So trying to make sure it's most aerodynamic. And
so your heat source is one side.
it's on the firebox side.
It's on the firebox side, and it comes across to the flue.
So
Correct.
what's the dimensions of that grate?
So it's a 36-inch grill.
Okay.
So it's about 24 by 36. And the firebox is 1/2-inch steel. So it's pretty
Thing's
good.
A beast, man.
It is a beast. And like Brian said, it's got a nice chimney on the side, so it pulls the air through it. There's about a 20-degree temperature difference between the bottom shelf and the top shelf. And
So I've heard you say in the past you run like a lot of oak, right? Is that what you're normally?
no, I
cooking with?
usually, my favorite is hickory.
Okay, I'm remembering wrong.
No, that's okay, because oak is very dense, so it
Okay.
takes a little bit for it to get going.
Yeah.
So sometimes if you're not paying attention to oak and you don't run a different type of wood, it can go out on you, and then it'll
Okay.
drop your temperatures on you.
So are you doing like whole logs, or you getting like
I
chunks
split
for
my
the-
logs. I take the bark off because I'm worried about the bark and make sure that there's no sap in there, because the sap will produce white smoke, which will put a little off flavor into the meat.
I think we've talked about that. That nice blue.
Yeah, the blue smoke.
coming out
Yeah,
is what you want, right?
exactly.
Yeah.
They call it the tannins, right? It's something about the tannins.
you get the sap and the tannins from that you get from the bark. So I always try to pull off the bark and make sure that I'm dealing with wood. And I always started off with charcoal. Charcoal gets the firebox nice and hot, and then you can throw some wood on top of it. And then it gets everything going, because you've got a huge thermal mass that you need to get going, especially on a cold day.
Now these logs you're putting in, are they like firewood size, or are you cutting them smaller?
I'm cutting them smaller. So usually firewood's 18 inches. I'm
Yeah.
cutting them down to 12 to 9 inches.
Okay.
So that they're probably about 9 inches by about 3 inches.
Okay.
And once I get those going, it's a log every about 15 minutes, depending on how hot it is or how cold it is. So if it's cold, it's every 10 minutes that you're having to put a log on. So as opposed to the Traeger where you just load and go, you're constantly tending the fire. But there's
yeah, I mean, but the wood taste is great.
Yeah.
Like, in my experience with my wood chip smoker, it's better, but it's a lot of work.
Yes. In my opinion, you can't get quite the ring, the smoke ring, as you can from wood and from an offset smoker. I found it's one of the best ways to get a smoke ring on there, and the best way to get a good bark is from a smoker, because the constant moving of that smoke over the top of the meat is just amazing.
You're calling that a smoker. What's the Traeger?
Oh, that to me is a
Say it. Go ahead and
Say it.
that's a crock pot with smoke. But you know, it's all what you want to do.
I think we've said that about every podcast at this point. We're just driving it home.
Well, we're getting mutual agreement on it.
Yeah, but you know, when you have a firebox and you have your daughter going out and checking it, and she opens and puts her face right in front of the firebox when she opens it, and this big puff of smoke hits her eyes, and she starts crying and screaming and running. Your firebox just drops. You know,
20 degrees.
And
30
your
degrees.
wife is calling you on the phone. Why did you let her do that? You're getting in trouble.
You got to train the dog to go out there and drop a log in there
Exactly.
every once in a while.
You got to know, when you burp something, you can't be putting your face right there.
Exactly. That's funny. But like, eventually, I want to get into an offset smoker, but I'm going to have to let this Traeger rust out before I do.
You got plenty of years with that.
But,
Yeah, you got to will it to someone too, because it ain't going anywhere.
No. And I like it. I mean, I know it's a what do we call it? It's a crock pot with smoke. But it's one of the things where I don't think, like, the way I do brisket, like, it's a 16-hour cook. So I'll start at 11 o'clock the evening before. There's no way I'm staying up and babysitting an offset through the night.
Yeah.
I think what's nice about it is it's more than a hobby at that point, where you're able to do it consistently throughout the week.
Correct.
Especially if you're working from home or something.
But there are cheats with the offset. You can do hot and fast.
Oh,
I know
so that's how you do your brisket normally, right?
Yeah, I do hot and fast. So I'll take my brisket up to, I know most people do 220, 250, and they swear by it.
You're talking about the smoker temp?
The smoker temp,
Okay.
the pit temp.
Right.
So with the pit temp, I'll take it up to 275, 300, and I'll let it go for about 4 hours so it gets a nice bark. Because usually within 4 hours, there's no more smoke ring.
You can't get any more smoke into it.
You can't get any more smoke into it. So, and a lot of people call it the Texas crutch, but I always usually use aluminum foil and wrap it in the foil, because there's something about the juice that locks it in and gets that flavor in there. Now, if you're a real bark enthusiast, that's going to destroy your bark. It's not going to be a crispy bark. It's going to be a little bit of mushy bark, but I'd rather have mushy bark than dry meat.
Right.
Yeah, no, that's what we experienced with the paper.
Yeah, the first time I did it, I used paper.
It tasted good, but the flat was too dry.
Yeah,
it really was.
Oh yeah, especially that's where you're gonna see it, is the flat. And the thing with an offset smoker is you always have to put the point towards the firebox.
Correct.
Otherwise, you're gonna dry out that flat.
Right.
So and you're always gonna want to run your.
Are you like
temperature
sliding
range.
it over closer or
No.
farther? Or is it just dead center every time?
Put it directly, probably about as far to the left towards the flue. As Brian was mentioned, my firebox is on the right, my flue is on the left, so I try and go as far left as I can, because there is about, and it's a good question, Ben, from one side of the smoker to the other side of the smoker, there's about a 30-degree difference.
I can imagine, yeah.
So you really got to temperature probe your smoker and know where those temperatures are. But usually I run a thermometer in the flat, and I always check the flat, because you never can go wrong in the point.
Right.
Because there's so much fat there that it protects it. So putting it in the flat is the best way of going about it.
Now, some of these big setups, do you guys use fans at all?
You can use a fan. Usually what you would do is you use a fan on your, there's ways you can do it on my smoker, but you put it on your firebox.
Okay.
And you actually have these charcoal boxes that you can run in S patterns so that you start on one side and it just burns continually in the S pattern. And you can run that, like Brian was saying, you could run that for a 12-hour smoke.
And it'll stay at this temperature?
It'll stay at the temperature. So
really?
You'll put those barbecue, I think there are some of those fans that are in there. Mm-hmm. So you'll put the temperature probe in the actual pit, and you'll put the fan on the firebox and keep your firebox open. And then the fan will blow when the temperature goes down.
So it's just modulating the airflow.
Correct. It's modulating the airflow so that you modulate the temperature.
So to me, that sounds like the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Because that's one downside about the Traeger is like above 225, you're not getting any smoke. And 180 is probably the lowest temperature you want to go. That's where you get the most smoke. Up to 225, it just diminishes from there. Like for this picanha, I started it out at like 220. And I usually run a smoke tube anyway. Like I'll fill a smoke tube with some pellets and light it. So it adds, I know the Traeger is like limited on the smoke. So that adds a little bit of smoke. But then I started noticing that the temperature was climbing like within I think I would have been done in a half an hour, even though most people say an hour. So I, reduced the temperature, and I think I got it down to about 185 and just let it go. But that's one of the downsides to a pellet smoker versus an offset. You don't get, you get the real smoke, but it's like...
But you don't get the amount of smoke.
You don't get the amount of smoke.
It's the same thing with an offset. The hotter you get it. So when you're running like a turkey, you're running at 300, 325.
Right.
You're not getting as much smoke, but you don't want a lot of smoke when it comes to...
Not a turkey.
Not a turkey or a chicken, because you can over-smoke that.
Right.
And all you do is taste the smoke.
You taste all the tannins and the bitterness.
Yep. Yeah, it's not a good thing.
It's funny you say that because I feel like all the recommendations for fish and chicken is a lighter wood.
Right.
And I didn't really put that together until now, where I guess, like an apple or like a cherry wood.
Exactly.
I guess that's why they're doing the chicken with those. Or
it's easy to over-smoke a bird. It's so easy.
Because
it is very easy.
you don't. If you try to use those other chips on other stuff, it'll turn out okay. But you don't get as much as like a mesquite or something like that.
I never run a bird without brining it.
Yeah,
you got to brine a bird
and inject it. We found injecting it is. Just don't inject it on the grill.
No. Then you get fire.
Then you get a fire.
Yeah. And
that turkey was a little black.
I would also recommend that when you do fish, do it on a separate grill.
Yeah,
we've experienced that firsthand. And honestly, I should just bring my old one over just for salmon. And stuff.
Yeah.
It tastes fantastic.
It's already been what's the word?
Seasoned.
Ruined.
It's already been seasoned with fish.
Exactly, because you gotta realize that when you're running a offset, it's like a cast iron skillet.
Right.
You're seasoning that every single time you cook in that, and you're going in there, and you should be spraying it down with olive oil and things like that because it's seasoned just like a grill.
Yep.
So a skillet. So you got to treat it as such.
So what does the maintenance look like on that? Like, are you cleaning that out regularly as far as like just pulling out charcoal and stuff, or like
the charcoal's real easy to get out. The real problem is that if you want to cook it, if you want to put it into like an aluminum foil container and smoke it that way, then you don't have as much drippings on the bottom.
Okay.
That's
I mean, like, have you ever cleaned it? Like,
yeah, I've cleaned it. Oh yeah, I have to clean it, otherwise it'll get
all the ash
really
nasty
nasty.
Out of there.
Well, the ash you just scrape it out.
Or vacuum.
Okay.
Yeah, I never really clean it out. I just
it's
pull
more
it out.
The drippings that you're
it's the drippings that you get in there because those can go foul because oil can go foul over time. Yeah. So you want to make sure.
Well, that's what's so nice about his little bucket on the side with the Traeger. It all drifts down into that little pan. Yeah. But sometimes the thing starts overflowing.
Yeah, I have a little a port on the bottom, but you still gotta scrape it towards that port, and it'll go out the bottom. And you usually just try and get as much of that out as you can. But like I said, it's like a cast iron skillet. You're gonna season that, and you want to season it.
Yeah.
You don't want to take too much off of it. You never
So
use...
olive oil is a good way as far as...
Yeah.
And are you doing that? How many smokes?
I'm doing that probably twice a year.
Twice a year? Okay.
Yeah, I'll spray it down.
And are you, like, trying to cook it in? Like, or you just leave it sit?
I try, when I do have the drippings and I know that it's a good fat and good rendered fat, I'll try and use it on the sides a little bit, but not too much because it can get foul.
Okay.
Yeah, because it'll actually decompose.
Yeah. Yeah, so you don't want to... It's just like your cast iron skillet. Right. You don't want to run too much oil in that because the oil can foul. You want to just get enough oil so it sits in the inside of your cast iron skillet.
Right.
And you can let that sit. But if you get too much of it, it congeals on the top. That's gonna go rancid. That's gonna grow some fungus.
Then you're doing some sanding.
Yeah, you're gonna have some fungi.
Yeah.
All right. Well, just like every other podcast, we got 3 bourbons here tonight. Brian, do you want to go over what we picked up?
Yeah. So we got Yellowstone. So I'm going to go from low end to high end. I don't remember.
We're going on price point here. I want to say this was about
price point
70 or something.
Yeah.
The Yellowstone only runs you about 30.
Okay. So the Yellowstone's about $30. It's just a Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey. 46.5%. Never had this. I'm excited to try it.
Yeah, me neither. So I got a coworker that went all the way out to Montana, and he found this, and he was all excited, and he was going to bring it home. But it turns out I think he was bringing it on his carry-on, and he couldn't fly with that on the carry-on. So he tried to ship it, and they were like, "Well, you really can't. You're not allowed to ship that." So he wound up giving it to the guy at the counter at UPS. He's like, "Here you go."
Man.
So, but he was so excited to try this, and I actually wound up getting another bottle for him that I'm going to bring in.
That's cool.
So, and I'm excited.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So the second one we have, and we actually mentioned, this was a honorable mention on the last podcast, which we'll post. Should post before this one posts.
Craig, do you see anything cool on that's sticking out?
Yeah, I see limestone.
We're back on the Yellowstone.
The Yellowstone, yeah. I'm seeing limestone, and I'm wondering, when I remember in Widow Jane, it was limestone, I think that they use from the water.
I know it's a specific location,
yeah,
wasn't it? I
exactly.
don't recall.
I don't remember what it was.
I thought it was New York.
Yeah,
that's my recollection.
But limestone should make it more basic,
right,
than acidic. So I'm just wondering if the same is true with this, because it says the Limestone Branch Distillery. If it has,
I mean, it says Kentucky on the front there, so I don't.
Yeah, but it still could get limestone type water.
Yeah,
yeah.
Because I think. Is the Widow Jane actually from New York? The limestone.
It is.
I think it is. Yeah.
I think you're right.
And there's something with the water quality there, and it's got something to do with limestone.
A funny story. One of my former associates that I worked in a bagel shop down in New York City. Yep. And he was telling me that you can't make a New York bagel outside of New York. And I asked him why, and he said it's the water.
Yep.
It's the New York water with all of the
Do they
limestone
say it like that?
That's in it. Yeah.
Water?
Water.
Water.
That's right.
I come from Connecticut, so I say water. Like quarter.
Here in Maryland, we say water.
Yeah.
I'm reading on the back of this thing, and so my coworker he's big into old fashions, and it says it's got leathery hints with citrus and oak. And so that I think of a citrus as you got the orange and the old fashioned, and then it says it's spicy rye with soft cherries fading to smoked caramel. And a lot of you put the cherry in that old fashioned too. Some people like to do that with a little bit of maraschino cherry. So it sounds like it would go good with like old fashioned setup for sure.
That's
nice.
Cool.
But yeah.
I'm anxious to try it.
All right, so that was the first one, and then back to Penelope. You're saying
Penelope? Yeah,
is it Penelope or Penelope?
I don't know. It's spelled Penelope. I say
Penelope.
Penelope.
Yeah,
but I think it's What is it?
Penelope?
Penelope. I think it's Penelope. That's my guess. But yeah, so this is a barrel strength straight bourbon whiskey, 4 grains, corn, rye, wheat, and malted barley. It comes in at 57.5%, so this one's a little more potent.
So we went over this one with Mark, and we really want to see what Craig thinks about this one.
Yeah, we've had this one on the last podcast, which we already have developed an opinion about it, but I'd like to get Craig's take on it.
Sure thing.
And then what's the special one? Who made the decision on this one here?
I made the decision on that one.
So what caught your eye when you're rolling through there?
Well, what caught my eye on this one was the Barrel
What
Amata.
is it first? Barrel Amata. Okay.
Barrel Amata. It's a bourbon whiskey finished in pear, brandy, rum, and Sicilian Amaro casks.
Really?
So I think the pear
Do they
brandy,
switch that? Like, you think they go from one to the next?
I think that they probably would. So it's finished. So I would say it's probably initially fermented in the oak barrels, because I think bourbon has to be in white oak barrels, charred white oak barrels.
And they do call that a bourbon, correct?
Yeah, they do. It says a bourbon whiskey.
Okay, so it's got to be finished off at some point in oak barrels, oak casks.
Yeah, it has to, I would say it's probably, since it's finished in these, I would say it's probably in the casks to start out with, and then finished in these brandy and rum. So I think it'll have some nice finish to it of those flavors. So I'm anxious to try that.
Yeah.
The proof is 114, and alcohol by volume is 57.2.
Okay, so it's a little bit. What was the Penelope? That was 57.5. So that was.
That smells good. That sounded like a dud.
Yeah, well, it's half empty, so it's got a little bit of a different tone to it.
Oh, you got it.
Yes, I found it. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, we lost our shot measuring flask, so I found it this evening. So.
And of course we have the bourbon to be finished with Pillman's cheesecake.
Yes.
If you've ever had a Pellman cheesecake, it is good stuff. It's baked cheesecake, New York cheesecake. You can get it at local Giants down here.
So how did this cheesecake bourbon thing come about, Craig?
By accident.
Brian's a big fan of cheesecake, so we brought over cheesecake, and then we had, I think it was Blanton's at the time. Was it
that?
Yeah.
Was that the first time?
That was the first.
Yeah.
No, was it?
I thought you guys were out at...
Maybe it was Woodford's.
I think it was Woodford.
Double Oak.
Yeah,
because we always drank the Double Oak. You're the one that started me on bourbons.
Yes.
I was never a hard alcohol drinking person. But, with a little bit of nice
bad influence
in there,
so
it was good.
So our last guest, Mark Randall, he's the one that actually turned me on to bourbon.
Oh,
we were at a conference. Yeah, he was our last podcast guest. So ever since then, it's been downhill from there. But I remember, I think we were here at the house.
Yeah, we were.
We had a cheesecake, and
it was actually a Pellman cheesecake.
Yeah, it was a Pellman cheesecake, but I think it was the single barrel. It wasn't, or the single oak. I don't think it was a double oak Woodford, because that's what I had out in. I think we were out in. I think we're in Vegas, if I recall. But in any case, so that was our first thing, and then we tried the double oak. But then by accident, we had cheesecake with us, and just the finish of that with the bourbon was amazing.
And I've seen cheesecake with bourbon.
Right.
So I mean, it's a nice pairing. If you've never tried it, try it. It's got a creamy finish to it.
Yeah. But do the bourbon first, and then take a bite of the cheesecake.
Oh, yes.
Ooh. Like what are the notes you get on the smell?
No, the nose is pretty strong.
Yes.
So there's a strong alcohol to it.
Surprisingly strong.
Yes. And I've got a little bit of a congestion, and it's nicely cleaning out my congestion.
You know what? That's really sticking out for me on this. On the taste is that leather that they're talking about. Like, I do get a strong leather flavor for sure.
Is this the Yellowstone?
This is Yellowstone. So this is a $30 bottle.
Yeah.
And I do get a lot of that cherry flavor too.
You know what's really nice about it? You don't have to put too much water in it.
No, I agree.
Because you don't have to. It's not overpowering. You know, it's not making my nose feel like it's going to bleed.
So we've been drinking most of our bourbons neat.
Yeah, the orange sticks out to me. I definitely taste some orange in there. Orange, cherry. I mean, I read the bottle, so I'm kind of cheating
Right.
here.
It's silky on the tongue.
Yeah.
It's nice.
It's a little hard on the initial, I think.
But
then
it's not a bad.
It's not a
bite
bad
at the
hard.
end at all,
No,
no.
But
it
then it kind of
definitely
mellows
smacks you
out.
in the face on the way in. I feel like, you know.
Ooh, where's the gasoline?
Oh,
Are we doing that one or are we
no,
not?
we've done the gasoline.
Okay, all right. That's we're not doing that.
Too many times at this point.
Yeah, the courage and conviction. Or conviction and courage.
Hey, I'm the only
You have
one.
to have courage and conviction to try that stuff.
I'm the only one that likes it. So.
Yeah, I'm not a fan, but yeah, that's a sidebar note. I mean, from your past tastes, how would you guys rate this?
I would say it's kind of plain.
Yeah.
Like, I kind of like how smooth it is, especially for such a cheap bottle. But there's not a lot of overpowering flavors, you know? Which really, like I was talking about with the old fashioned, I think this would be good in some kind of mix. But I wouldn't say it's, you know, really impressive in any way.
It tastes like a $30 bottle of bourbon.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But it's not. It's
not
not
bad.
Like, it's not like I bought it and I'm like it's disappointing.
Right.
You know, like I don't mind that. It's a good budget one. I feel
Yeah.
like. You know.
Yeah. Agreed.
So.
I mean, I've had worse $30 bottles.
Oh,
of
no
bourbon.
doubt. Yeah.
But yeah, this is.
I think it's like a maker's mark.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's
Or
it's
Elijah
fairly
Craig.
sweet. It's fairly sweet too, kind of like
Yeah.
those. You know.
Yeah. Maker's mark, I would say, is a little bit sweeter.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's in that range. It's somewhere between Elijah Craig and a maker's mark.
I'm
That's
telling
what I
you
would say.
before we'll let you taste this, but I think I'm liking the Yellowstone more than the Penelope here.
Yeah.
But
Don't ruin it for me.
I tell you what, if you had that white bottle next to each other and they're both in the same price range, they're comparable to each other.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I'd like to see the white label Penelope compared to that Yellowstone.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah, it's got some really nice legs on it, which tells
Is
you
it
there's-
growing on you?
that it tells you that it's got a nice balance in the.
Explain to me the legs here, Craig.
The
I'm not
legs
following.
are what you're looking at in your glass. So if you swirl your glass around, the alcohol drips down, but it drips down in
kinda gotta
almost
look at it in the
teardrops.
light.
So you
Okay.
look at it in the light, and you see the little tiny legs that come down.
Oh, yeah.
And that's also in wine. You see it in wine, but it's good in bourbon.
So
as
what's
well.
is there a correlation?
There's a correlation between a nice balance between the alcohol and the taste as well.
So more legs good?
More legs are good.
Yeah.
So you see multiple legs on this. So it's
Finally
it's
got a
very
pro
nice
on the
balance.
podcast. Well, he is a scientist. So.
Yeah. We've never talked about legs before.
No.
That's good. I forgot about that. I remember you talking about that before.
Yeah, you can see it in wine. A good wine has lots of legs in it. And it's just a nice balance between the alcohol. So the alcohol is not too much
Right.
in here, and it isn't. It doesn't assault
No,
your nose.
Not at all. Yeah.
You know, when you first get it,
It's a smooth drinker
smooth.
after smacking you, in the beginning.
Yeah, like after a couple sips, like the first sip was probably took me a little bit off guard. But after that, it definitely
Yeah.
smooths out.
It's very nice. You can taste the corn to it.
Yeah.
You can really taste the corn after you've had a little bit, because that corn finish that you have on it, it's almost like a cream of corn.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm getting that with the orange a little bit. But
Yeah, I do get a little bit of orange finish afterwards. Or almost like an orange zest.
yeah.
Maybe?
Yeah, not like I agree. It's definitely a zest
Right.
Yeah.
taste.
Yeah, I agree.
But it's nice. It's smooth. It doesn't require an ice cube or anything, you can take it neat, like you were saying, Brian.
Yeah. I'd love to compare, like, maybe this is another podcast content, but I'd love to compare, like, our staple, like the Woodfords and the Widow Janes, and to some of these to see how that.
Oh, yeah. And
So one thing that we've been doing is we have been buying one price point to the next price point to the next. And we really need to take the time and, like, stick within one price point for all three.
Sure.
You know, I think that would be
because
really,
we're skewing it. We're
definitely.
skewing it.
But what we've learned is a lot of times it has nothing to do with it.
No, it doesn't.
You know?
No. Well, like we found that out with a 10-year Widow Jane and a 13-year Widow Jane. You know, one's a $65, the other's a $90. I will never buy the $90 one again.
It's not good.
That was harsh.
Well,
and it comes up to the
more,
person's preference too, but
was it more alcohol in that?
It hit a
I
lot
don't
harder.
think so. I just think it had so much more oak. I mean, the barrel itself, maybe the charcoal. It was just
like
more
double oak on
out.
steroids.
Yeah, it just was more potent,
Yeah. Well, you figure the longer it's in the bottle, or longer
but
it's in
to
the
a
cask,
detrimental state. So
Yeah, but everybody's, you know, like, well, this may be an inaccurate statement, but I always thought the older the whiskey, the better it is. Like, but that's not necessarily.
Remember with Blanton's, they don't tell you.
Exactly.
Right,
It'll be
like
it's
3 years old. You don't know.
You remember? I don't know if you saw the special on bourbon, but it matters where the barrel is in the warehouse.
Right.
How much sun it gets, how much heat it gets, how much difference in the heat it gets. So that's gonna have the osmotic pressure on the wood, so it's going to pull out more, and that's why the one that the oceans that we get that they put out on a ship, so they have it sloshed around.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean the oceans.
So this Yellowstone, the guy that recommended this, he's a big fan of oceans too, so he'll get a kick out of this.
The oceans, they send it around the world in the barrels, so that you get the continual movement of the bourbon in the actual barrel from the waves, from the ship, so that you get the maximal surface on that barrel, and you get that pull out of the oak, the white oak charred barrel. So that's where Oceans is different than most.
Right. And don't they? I think I remember on the tag they actually indicate the path that the ship took.
Yes, it did.
And it's different. Like, you could have one batch.
Different batches. Yeah,
different batches.
Different paths,
Right.
because they ship them differently in those shipping containers. Yeah. I mean, that it'd be interesting to understand, do they regulate the temperature of those shipping containers? Because, if something goes down in, the equator, that's going to get very hot.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And that could very much affect it.
I'm sure they have to keep some sort of...
They have loggers.
Constant.
I'm sure they have loggers in there, so they're probably logging the temperature.
Right.
But yeah, it's an interesting concept to be able to do that. But like Blanton's, they just have honey pots. They call them,
and it's a blend. It's like, you don't know what the age is on Blanton's, but that by far, that has been the best bourbon that I've ever tasted so far.
Yeah.
The Pappy is there, man.
Yeah, that's outside my budget.
Yeah, I think it's outside of everyone's budget.
I've never bought it, but I've had it, and it was delicious.
You got to have a bunch of people on this podcast to be able to afford that.
And honestly, like, I don't back to the Pappies. I think I would, for a one-time deal, I think I would spend $100 on a shot just to taste it.
Yeah,
it's really good.
I never would buy a bottle of it,
but unless we pitched in.
Yeah, we just shared it.
Yeah,
a community shot.
Why not?
Yeah, why not?
It's a once in a lifetime thing.
Yeah,
maybe we can put like a fundraiser together or something.
Yeah, you know what? You could start a GoFundMe.
To buy Pappy so we get it on the podcast.
We'll
Speaking of which,
we'll post a link in the description. the Pappy GoFundMe.
GoFundMe. So speaking of which, Craig, do you want to talk about your race?
Sure, yeah. So in June, I'm going to be riding. One of my hobbies is triathlons, and I've always been an avid bike racer and loving to ride my bike. So that's how I got into triathlons. So I heard from one of the guys that my daughter goes to school with. His daughter was talking with my daughter and told me about the race across America, and you can actually see it on Netflix. So this race starts in Oceanside, California, and you go from Oceanside, California, and you ride all the way to Annapolis, Maryland. And
Oh my goodness.
this team from Zoe International. So Zoe is a Christian organization that works to prevent or to end human trafficking. It's amazing how many people have been affected by human trafficking. That about 40 million people have been impacted by human trafficking, and 25% of those are children. So 1 in 4, so 10 million of those are children. And it's mainly going through the sex industry. And it's a $150 billion industry. So it's incentivized by money. And I call it a silent pandemic that's going on. And we got to open our eyes to it. So
So is this an international organization, or is this...
Zoe is an international organization. Okay. It has branches in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, in California, in I think in Thailand as well, and in Australia. So their goal is 3 things: is to prevent, and to rescue, and to restore. And so I'm taking part in helping out and volunteering in the prevention by bringing awareness, by riding in the race across America.
So you have mentioned you got a team of 4, is that correct?
We've got a team, a total of 8.
Of 8, okay.
But there's 2 teams of 4. So
okay.
How we break it up, so that's 3,000 plus miles that we're going to be riding.
That's nuts.
And we're going to do that in 5 days or less. So what we will do is we'll have 2 teams of 4 that will ride 12-hour shifts. So in that 12-hour shifts, you got 4 guys, each one riding 15 minutes in an hour. So every 15 minutes of an hour, I'm riding. So for 12 hours straight. So I have 12 15-minute rides. So there's 4 guys, so every hour we're turning over. And then after that 12 hours, the next 4 guys go. So we haven't decided who's going to do the evening shift and who's going to do the day shift. The beauty of the evening shift is it's not as hot because we've got to drop down from California into Arizona. That's going to be the desert. So it's going to be and it's in June, so it's going to be about 120 degrees.
During the day. In the night, it could like down to 60 to 50s.
Exactly. So, but you're going to have to live with the cycle of the fact that you're not used to being up all night and riding a bike, and in the dark, you're not going to be able to see that much. And we're going to. So
are you physically going to be like going from section to section, riding in the vehicle?
So what you do is you would ride your 15-minute stretch. Then you have a van that comes and picks your bike up and takes you to the next location. Okay. So every 4 men are spread out so far as to how far they can do in 15 minutes, so that when one passes the other then can go. Yeah. And it's a relay that goes on between the 2 of them.
So what do you do on your 45 minutes off?
You sit in the van and you're usually waiting for your next time to be up. So then you're getting out of the van and getting on your bike and getting ready to go. So
is during that time, is there like a focus on hydration and nourishment?
Yeah, I would focus on hydration throughout the time.
Right.
And nutrition, I would be hitting a lot of gels for me, which are dense carbohydrates. So that'll get me up and going and get me moving fast.
So you don't have like a grill on the back with like hot dogs?
No,
or picanha.
They don't have that.
A couple beers,
but we do have a tour bus which we can sleep in. So that the tour bus is following, but there's trucks or vans that are following us. The thing about riding at night that I would be concerned about is that you're on a time trial bike, so you're down low.
You're on a what?
Time trial bike. So if you ever seen the Tour de France, they have they have the road bikes, which they're usually riding in packs, or when they're riding individually on those very modern looking ones, those are time trial bikes where they're in their aero bars and they're stretched out in front over the handlebars. You necessarily can't, maneuver as well because you're down as low as you can. So you want to be as aerodynamic as possible.
So those are the ones that are
you're not going to
placing
bump
you
into
in the
anybody.
pack.
Yeah, those are the ones that you can go as fast as you can. You're trying to go as fast as you can, and you're sitting over the top of the pedals, trying to pedal as quickly as you can.
Now, some of these stretches for these hills, like, is that bike, can it handle it? Like, going up
you're gonna probably, you need to have two bikes. You need to have a time trial bike, and you need to have a
so
road
if you're
bike.
hitting like a big mountain stretch,
we're going to be going through some of the Rockies, so
Yeah.
that and West Virginia, so that's probably where we might want to try the roadies instead
that
of
would
the
be
time
miserable,
trials.
man.
Yeah, it would be very challenging to go up the hills in those bikes. But in Kansas, so you get a good wind behind you, you can probably get up to 25 plus miles an hour.
And you're going west to east, so the westerly winds are going to help you on the plains.
You're gonna get a little bit of a push.
You have like a little wingsuit.
Yeah,
Little parachute.
exactly. As long as
Sail
it's not a
going on.
crosswind, because crosswinds are very challenging.
Yeah.
Because
Now-
they can hit your rims.
What are you doing to maximize your aerodynamics, like physically? Like, are you
Dropping
shaving?
weight?
What is it?
Dropping weight.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing that you can do.
Is that right?
Is the drop weight, because the less weight you have, the less weight you actually have to pedal.
All right.
That you have to move. So trying to drop as much weight as possible, but not losing muscle mass.
Huh.
So
Now,
you're balancing that.
As far as like what you're wearing, is it?
So it would be as tight as possible. So you would call them skin suits.
Okay.
So you'd want to be able to get something that's next to your skin, and you want to get something that's aerodynamic. So, like a golf ball has dimples on it, that enables it to go through the air much better. So they actually
creates turbulence.
Exactly. It creates turbulence and allows you to be able to cut through the air more effectively. So the same is true with the skin suits. If you ever see them, they have somewhat of a dimple on them.
Is that right? I
So
didn't know
yeah,
that. Huh.
yeah. If you see the socks, they actually have socks that have tubes around the sides
Get
of them,
out.
so that the air will go around them. And they'll actually, in cycling, it's about watts. So it's about the power. So your functional threshold power is what you can put out as a cyclist. So they're always measuring things in watts. So
how are
many
they
watts
measuring
it's going to save you? By how much
Torque and rotation.
torque and rotation, exactly. How much you got a power meter on your cranks. So that's measuring how much power you're putting into the crank.
Huh. Wow, it gets scientific.
Yeah, it really does, and it's all about drag. So that's
Right.
why you have those time trial bikes, which are aerodynamic and are shaped so that they cut the wind differently.
Huh. So you don't get the advantage of, what do they call it when one follows closely behind another?
Oh yeah,
You don't
drafting.
Get drafting. You don't get that
You-
advantage.
yeah, it would be really hard to draft on a time trial bike because you're down low, like I think I was saying before. If you see a pothole or something, you don't have that much ability to be able to get out of the way of the pothole because you're going as straight as possible. So when you're drafting, you really got to trust the person in front of you, and they've really got to know that you can't move that much.
But you're not cycling with anybody else, right?
No, you're cycling all by yourself
Right.
with time
For those
trial
15
bikes.
Have
then,
you
yeah.
ever tried going like the full horizontal, like some of those guys?
Oh, when they
like
try
lay down on the seat and they're like straight out and they're like zipping by people.
some of the guys. Well,
It looks super dangerous, but they fly by these guys, and it doesn't look like it would improve much. But you see, they'll go way past like the rest of the group by just being stretched out.
yeah, that's exactly what a time trial bike does. Is it has aero bars out
Okay,
front, so
I
it
gotcha.
pulls you across the top of the bike and lowers you as low as you can go on the bike, so that the air will flow over the top of you. Because the thing that's slowing you down, you're a sail on a bicycle. Because you're sitting up and you're just catching the wind. Your chest is catching the wind and slowing you down. So the more you can get down, the lower you can get down, you can easily get 2 to 3 miles per hour faster than someone else on those bikes. So it really makes a difference.
Now, is your helmet the typical one that?
It would be a teardrop helmet.
Teardrop, okay.
Yeah, you would have the glass front on it and teardrops.
So you got a full face shield.
Yep, full face shield, and so that the wind will go, because your head is another thing that can slow you down as well.
Now, what do you do in inclement weather? Like, you're still riding?
You're still riding.
Is that right?
Yeah, doing a lot of praying.
Wow. Well, so tell them about the Netflix special if you can, or I don't know if it's.
Oh yeah, they're going to make a movie out of it.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So they will make a documentary out of it.
When would that air?
I don't know yet. So it'll be sometime after, probably next September.
Wow, I'm interested in that. Now, would it be a series or like an hour and a half documentary? You don't
Probably.
know.
I don't know. I think it would be an hour and a half.
Huh. I think it'd be enough content to be a series, to be honest. To go. Well, I mean, you're only going a week, so it's.
Yeah, it's only 5 days. They interviewed us.
I can imagine that the views will be pretty cool. You know, like going all the way across the country, like that alone sounds worth watching. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be beautiful. When you're riding, though, you're not paying attention to the views.
I'm sure.
You're only looking at the road in front of you, because the last thing you want to do is hit.
And trying
hit
to ignore the
something.
pain.
Yeah. Yeah, well, the pain is just, it's something you just deal with and you put out of your head. But, yeah, the most thing that you pay attention to is the road in front of you, because the last thing you want to do is lay on the side and crack a
shoulder.
a collarbone. There's two types of riders. Ones that have broken their collarbone and ones that will break their collarbone.
And you've already broken your collarbone.
Yes, I've already done that. So I already got a titanium plate there.
That's good. Yeah. Well, I like not being a cyclist, but I can attribute, or at least there's a lot of things very similar to hiking. Like you and I have hiked.
Yeah.
Probably, I don't know. We've been so Craig and I's, I guess, bucket list.
Yes, I would call it a bucket list.
When
you get middle age, it's all about bucket list.
We're in the bucket.
I'm going to interrupt a little bit. We're going to put this fundraiser in the link on the podcast as well. So we'll just
awesome.
make sure
I
it's
appreciate anyone there.
That way all 7 followers can at least get opportunity.
We'll put it before the we'll put it for the before
and that
the
is
Pappy,
until the fundraiser's until June. But obviously we can always donate, but. You said it's till June, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Cool.
You can just donate
when's
online.
The race? What?
The race starts June 17th.
17th. Okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
And for every $2 donated, $1 will go to the Pappy GoFundMe.
We'll match it up to 50%.
Matching funds.
Yeah, matching funds.
Anyway, hiking. Yeah. Go ahead.
So this is real short and sweet, but so Craig and I have like I said, one of our bucket list items. We'd love to do a through hike on the Appalachian Trail. Of course, our jobs don't really allow us to do that, to take 6 months off to hike from Springer Mountain in Georgia up to Katahdin, Maine. So we've started to, and we haven't done it for probably a year, but we started section hiking the trail. I think we've gotten halfway through PA. Correct me if I'm wrong.
We've gotten halfway through PA. I think we're in...
it's Boonesboro, right?
Boonesboro. Well, no, we're past Boonesboro. I think we actually got through Boonesboro's Maryland. So we're actually through West Virginia. I think we're in the first part of Virginia in Front Royal.
Yeah, but what was the most northern in PA?
Oh, northern PA, we were... that's north of Pine Grove Furnace. Yeah. So that's Boiling Springs.
Boiling Springs, yes.
Yeah.
Which at Boiling Springs, from Boiling Springs down to south of Front Royal is very, very hilly.
It's hilly, but it's not too rocky.
It's not too rocky.
It's not the typical Rocksylvania that you're used to.
So Pennsylvania is known to have the rocks.
Yeah.
So we've done from Boiling Springs, PA, down through all of Maryland.
All of Maryland, yeah.
Down through all of West Virginia.
Yep.
And then down through Front Royal, Virginia. And I think our next trip once things kind of settle out a little bit is probably we want to do the Shenandoahs.
Yeah, the Shenandoah National Park is where we stopped, right at the entrance of
Right.
that. I've done a little bit more with Gabriel on that. A little bit. We're in like Millburn, but
Okay.
Shenandoah is really nice.
Yeah, and Gabriel's your son.
Yep.
Yeah, so like I said, but like when you talk about the cycling and the pain and like keeping your eye on the road, it's like, you think the hiking, you see all this beautiful nature, but honestly, your feet are looking where to step. That's the only place you're looking for the entire hike.
Exactly.
And then you're focusing on especially with the uphills, the pain.
Yeah.
'Cause sometimes we're doing like 1,000-foot climbs.
Exactly. And to Ben's point before, I think the time where I'll look around is when I'm waiting for someone to pass me to be able to get going. Because then I'll have the ability to
Waiting for
look
somebody
around.
to catch up.
Waiting for somebody to catch up.
Yeah, catch up. Yeah. Well, these guys are pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't have to worry about catching up. I'm the oldest, one of the oldest in my 4-man crew. I'm the oldest.
Yeah. Well, I'm talking about hiking, and catching up to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I see. As far as the cycling, you're at a much higher caliber of cycling, and you're probably on the same playing field as most of the guys you're cycling with, correct?
I'm close to them, but a lot of them are like 20 years younger than me.
Oh, okay.
So they have some pretty good endurance. So I've got to keep up with some guys that are pretty strong.
Right.
So I've got to get my time trial bike. What is Hope going to hear this?
We'll bleep that one out. We're going to get our bleep.
As most guys will know, you have your hobbies, and your wife is not always in tune with how much you spend on your hobbies.
Right.
Yeah. So, anyways.
We'll cut that out.
See if they can get you a separate receipt to show, one for the wife and then one for cost.
That's right. I agree.
So what are we trying now?
We got the Penelope. It's barrel strength and it's 13 year. So yeah, let me know what you think. I didn't pour a full shot just because we don't like it too much, and we got church
like
tomorrow.
Nutmeg. I get a nutmeg finish just by the sniff.
I didn't realize this was a 13-year.
I'm thinking it is.
I think you're right. Which would explain, because we kept comparing it to the 13-year Widow and how similar it was.
I think what happened was it reminded me so much of it that it's not that old.
No.
This is only 4 to 5 years.
Okay.
It's just, for some reason, it reminds me so much of
Gotcha.
Widow Jane.
But it's not a blend. It's a...
Yeah. That's why it's not a full glass.
Craig's coughing up a lung.
Oh, that is powerful.
We're getting you
My
back
eyes
for
are
those
watering.
spicy jelly beans.
I'd rather give me a spicy jelly bean. Wow,
I'm gonna
that
go
is
get
just
those.
Strong.
You are?
Why not?
Okay, good.
That is really strong.
That'll end the podcast. You know that, right? Yeah. I'm a little, I like this a little bit better than the last time we had it. Not much, but
it doesn't have as much alcohol taste on the nose as the Yellowstone did. That's why I'm saying it's kind of a almost like a nutmeg. Mm-hmm. A nutmeg corn smell to it, but it's not a strong alcohol. It doesn't make your nose.
No, but it's definitely a more I wouldn't say I'm using the incorrect word here, pungent, but it's got a stronger.
It's
whiskey.
got more of alcohol taste to it.
Right.
It's very strong on the alcohol. It's got a punch.
It's got a punch. Yeah, that's what I was looking for.
Did you throw that back as quick as possible?
I don't know about those
Yeah,
beans, man. So we've done 2. So Yellowstone, how would you rate 1 to 10? Craig.
Yellowstone is much smoother than this. It doesn't have the punch. This has got a definite alcohol punch. It's got a nice nose to it, but it burns too much.
Right.
I'm not a fan. Some people like the punch, but I'm not a fan of the punch. I'm a fan of the smooth. Yellowstone is smooth. I agree with Ben, what he said before. It doesn't have a large taste. So it's not it's not overly sweet, but you get the corn, but that's about it.
Yeah, I think like if somebody were to say describe this in one word, I think alcohol would be the word.
Oh yeah, for this yeah. This is definitely a punch in the face.
Yeah.
I think that it has a lot of just like flavor. Mm-hmm. Not a good flavor, but it's so what do you say, concentrated. It feels like where the alcohol, it's high in volume, but just it punches you in the face with the flavor. Right. And I don't even know what I'm tasting. But
and it's very nasally.
Yeah.
Like when you swallow it, it's like, typically I'll take my first sip, I'll like swirl it around and I'll swallow. When you swallow, all those vapors come up from your throat and then out your nose, and that's the burn.
Yeah.
And that's what I don't like about it.
It also burns the back of your tongue.
Right.
When it goes down, where the Yellowstone did not do that. It had a little bite as it went down your throat. Mm-hmm. It didn't start biting in your mouth. This bites in your mouth.
Yeah. This is on the order of your what is it, courage and conviction. But not quite.
No,
I don't know what you're talking about. This is way worse than courage.
No, I'm sorry. I disagree with that. Courage and conviction.
Courage and conviction is very potent alcohol-wise, but the flavor doesn't. It's not gross. You know what I mean?
No, I don't. I'm sorry.
Gross?
No, okay.
I disagree with that.
I would say that the flavor. I enjoy the taste of that. The other one
of the courage and conviction.
Of the courage and conviction. I do not like the taste of this at all.
I don't like the taste of the courage and conviction. There is no taste.
So,
it's just burns.
If you were stuck
that's my point.
If you were stuck on a desert island and you were given courage, conviction, and this Penelope, which one would you drink?
I would go for the Penelope. I'd go for the Penelope because I'm on an
my
island.
buddy Tyler,
but you gave me an island. I'm going to choose both. I mean, I got nothing better to do
because one's going to run out.
Yeah, exactly.
You got to drink both so you can put the message in both of them.
That's right.
Exactly.
Double your chances.
Both look about the same type of bottle too.
Yeah.
That's if you live through the courage and conviction.
I'll figure this out.
Where is that?
Oh, you
no.
got it.
Oh my goodness!
He brought it.
Of course.
All right, you got to
look at that.
It looks
I'm sorry. That looks like pee. It looks like pee. Oh.
That is hilarious.
Are you sure you don't want to try it and compare?
I'll try.
I'll try it. If I remember it as bad as it was, let me see if it tastes as bad this time.
Just a little bit.
That's the assault on the nose that I remember last time. It's still there.
That's hilarious. You brought it.
It's not even that potent.
That's just what I remember.
Your taste buds must be numb. That's all I got.
That's just alcohol.
That's all it is. What I'm saying is, this is so thick. I don't know how else to explain
that's
this
thicker.
is the Penelope is very thick, and this is a lot lighter. But it's just alcohol. Like that's all that is. Like
There's nothing in there.
You put this next to moonshine, and
There's nothing in there but alcohol and urine.
Well, when it shook up, it looked like pee. I mean, I'll be honest.
Courage and conviction reminds me of like the color of it. It looks like the cheap beers that you get.
Yeah. Now, what's the price point?
Like
on that?
PBR.
Do you know?
It was a gift.
Yeah.
And I seem to be the only one to like it. So.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad that you like it. It's a good gift then. It came to the right person.
So I'd always be fearful of drinking something that's called courage and conviction.
I love this coin.
You tore it
that
off.
comes off.
No,
the
Mark
bottle?
sat there and started pulling the string on the ribbon, and then the ribbon got shredded.
Blame it on Mark. Yeah, Mark's not even here to
Well,
defend
no,
himself.
Mark
Poor
last
guy.
time threw this thing across the room.
Yeah.
the coin.
Is it like stuck there? Or is it
Yeah,
slides
it's
in there. Oh, okay. Huh.
It's a very cool bottle.
Oh, that is a cool bottle. It's like magnetic.
Wow.
And then did you see the cap?
It's a screw top.
Solid copper.
Get out. All right, so now I'm a little bit impressed.
The bottle's cool.
I'm a
Yeah,
little
that
bit
is
impressed.
that is cool. A lot of gimmicky.
Yeah. I'm impressed a little bit.
Sells
It's
a lot.
like
Sells a lot.
Yes, that's right. That's right. Because it's half.
Poor Tyler.
Exactly.
You got to justify the money somehow.
Yeah.
I'm curious what the price point is on this. It's
I can
I'm
ask.
sure that's probably a
It's
$80,
probably-
$90 bottle.
I mean, it's cask strength. It's 58.8. It's a single cask.
I'm anxious to try this Armada.
Okay, let's go for it.
Ben, you pour.
All right. We're going to go for
I'll do a half on this
a
one.
half one.
Yeah, I
How
got
are
it.
you doing? Half? Oh, man.
The morning after our last podcast with Mark, I was hating life. Literally hating life.
Not quite a half, but let's start with that.
Well, half's up to the rim, right?
Yeah.
This is what you call a graduated cylinder.
Last time Brian spilled bourbon all over the table.
Yeah, it was the courage and the conviction. It was done on purpose.
It was not. I will stand by that between those two.
Okay.
But all right. So
Before we do this,
we got the Barrel Armada.
Okay, never mind. We already. I was going to try to compare these two, but I think we already.
Or is it Armida? Is it Armida?
I think it's an I, Armida.
Armida?
Armida.
Armada sounds cool.
Yeah. Spell it once.
Pear, brandy, arm, IDA.
Arm IDA. Well, what we'll do is, so Ben usually posts our podcast, so he'll include the links to each one of these, if we can remember.
Call me crazy, but I pick up the pear.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I do too.
Yeah, same here. And it's very light. I mean, it's
Yeah.
It doesn't like typically even with the
Doesn't
Yellowstone
punch.
and this.
57.2.
Yeah, you wouldn't
Yeah.
tell. You couldn't tell.
That nose, it's not assaulting or anything. It is really nice. And then you get, after a little bit, you start getting the corn.
Mm-hmm. Ooh. That was a surprise.
It's a little strong in the nose.
Well, it's a little weird in the taste. I mean, not weird, but different.
I'm going to take that courage and conviction.
Over this.
This is stronger than Yellowstone.
Yes.
It's got more of a punch than Yellowstone, but
It's sour.
Yes.
it's got a bitter taste.
Yes.
I don't know if it's sour. I'd say it's bitter.
No, it's sour. It's like,
Is
like
it
one of
sour
them
or is it bitter?
warheads.
Let me get another hit.
you know?
I've never tasted anything like this.
No, it's weird.
It's weird.
It is weird. It does not taste like bourbon.
No, not at all. It doesn't even taste like scotch.
No. It doesn't have a peaty taste to it at all.
I've not ever tasted anything like this.
It's got the brandy and rum in it. It's almost got like a brandy
gross.
finish.
Well, I'm not a brandy or a rum guy. Like I don't even know what brandy. I don't think I've ever had a brandy or a rum.
brandy.
Brandy's very sweet. Very
Thank
sweet.
goodness we didn't pull a full shot. Oh, man.
Yeah.
I wish I would have gotten the bullet.
Oh, they're closed now.
We would like to return this bottle.
Can we?
Man.
Man, he talked this one up too.
Well, he said the barrel in general. We just
Oh,
picked out of the, 12 bottles that were out there?
yeah. This is top shelf. This was a $70 bottle.
Yeah,
I'm telling you, it tastes like a
68.
sour piece
Yeah,
of
70.
candy.
Yeah.
It smells weird too.
Now, what's your last hit like? I know the first hit's a little shocking.
My last hit tastes more like barrel.
Yeah.
Very, very woody.
Yeah, very woody.
It's gotten a lot better. Like the last shot, no?
No.
Yeah, I think it's gotten a little bit better.
Yeah.
You're washing it down with cheesecake.
Yeah. Hey, it helps.
Yeah. Well, I'm disappointed. I really am.
That stinks.
I'm gonna give Yellowstone the winner. I mean, the Yellowstone's the winner tonight, in my opinion.
I think, I agree.
That's 2 in a row. The cheapest one has been our favorite.
Out of these 3, yeah.
I would say Yellowstone's probably the better one.
Yeah.
Out of all 4 of these.
Yeah,
Yellowstone.
That's right, 4.
Yeah.
No, I agree. I think that's even more reason why.
Honestly, I'll go Yellowstone, Penelope, Courage and Conviction, and this one
That's
probably
crap.
last. Just because the Courage and Conviction, like you said, Ben, it punches you in the face, but that's
but
what
it
it's
doesn't
about.
taste bad.
No, it doesn't taste bad. It's just strong.
just too potent with the
it's
alcohol.
very strong. It's like what we have over here, a Carolina Reaper Jelly Belly. I mean,
So
that's
if
what
that bourbon wasn't bad enough, we're gonna finish up on these jelly beans. Where did you get these things?
These jelly beans came from.
First of all, why were you looking for them?
This.
All right, now
this
give
was
them
my
the back.
son's. That was
Give
Gabriel's.
them the backstory about the salsa as well.
Okay, tell them about
So I
triple
tried
threat.
to grow the triple threat, which was Carolina Reaper, the Scorpion Pepper, and the Ghost Pepper. I was not able to be successful in growing a Carolina Reaper. It just didn't produce anything. But
So you got a plant, but no
pepper,
no product.
It doesn't make any sense because I had a bumper crop of Ghost. I mean, so many Ghost peppers, I couldn't even count them. And then so many Scorpion peppers, which I think is a derivative of the Carolina Reaper. Maybe you guys out there can tell me that I'm wrong on that, but they look almost identical.
Well, from what I understand, the Carolina Reaper was developed after the Ghost.
It was
used to be the
developed after
Ghost
the
was
Ghost.
the highest.
But I thought the Scorpion was higher than the Ghost.
I think you're right, yeah.
And then the Scorpion looks exactly like a Carolina Reaper because they have this like tail that comes out of the bottom of the pepper. And the Scorpion has that tail.
Right.
But I got a bumper crop out of those too. And as I understand from any kind of peppers that you grow, it's about how hot it is and the temperatures that you get. If it's too wet, you're not going to get too many peppers. But if you get the right conditions, you'll get a bumper crop of peppers. So that's why I didn't understand why I didn't get any Carolina Reapers out of it. But so got tons of those. And then I didn't have anything to do with them. You know, they were beautiful because they were red and orange. And so then I just fried them up and put them into salsa and made this incredibly hot salsa, which we had the salsa challenge, the 1-chip challenge, wasn't it? Or the 10-chip challenge.
Yes.
And you had to dip 10 chips into the salsa and eat them without taking any milk.
Or anything, dairy, water, anything.
Yeah, it's the protein in the milk that knocks out the campthecin, which is an oil. So whenever you have a hot something, take either milk and or ice cream or sour cream or yogurt.
Cheesecake.
Yeah, cheesecake will also help too.
Crap, I just ate it all.
So anyways, we did that, and we did the 10-chip challenge, and I think that was, for several days you felt the 10-chip challenge.
The burning ring of fire.
Yes. It comes out as hot as it goes in, which is not always fun. You pray for the backsplash.
I had to
if you know
pump
what
my
I mean.
septic after that day. You know.
Oh yeah. You're always wondering, ooh.
Yeah.
Watch out for that.
It's not over yet. You think it's over, but it ain't over yet. It's yeah. So explain the triple, I call it the trifecta. What did you call it? It was
triple threat, right?
Triple threat. That's right.
I didn't have. I had 2 of the triple threats, so I had the Ghost Pepper and the Scorpion in there, and that was enough to kick it up considerably.
But the third item was this ghost pepper dust. Remember?
Oh yeah, we had Carolina Reaper dust. That's right.
Right.
That was so we didn't actually have the peppers, but we had the dried Carolina Reaper.
Right. So what we had was one of those
in there.
Dorito scoops. You put in. What did you put in first?
We put in the salsa first, and then we sprinkled it with the dust.
And then what was on top of that? That was the.
No, it was the chip. It was the salsa that had the ghost peppers and the scorpion peppers.
Oh, okay.
And then it had the Carolina Reaper dust.
Yeah.
So then, yes, it had the triple threat to it.
Yeah.
And you had to eat 10 of those chips without even getting to the milk or the ice cream.
Well, the first one I was giving, Craig said, "Hey, try this. See what you think." I took that, and I've never tasted something so hot in all my life. I was like, man, it's like that was horrible.
That was pretty impressive salsa.
Yeah,
it burned.
Yeah.
It burned.
Now
well.
you had brought some salsa over at one point that was pretty spicy, but I don't think it was the triple threat.
We had some habanero salsa.
Maybe
it was given to us for a
probably what it
Christmas
was.
present. I can't remember by who, but that was nothing compared to your salsa.
Scorpion and ghost.
The story about the can of dip.
I was just thinking about that. Yeah. So two stories. One was this habanero salsa. So it was getting towards the bottom, and nobody was eating it. So my wife, she likes a mild salsa. So I just took the rest of the habanero and kind of mixed it in. Didn't say anything. And I'm downstairs, and I'm like, all of a sudden I hear the screaming. What did you do? But the funniest story was, so my sons somehow got into dipping tobacco, and from 16 years old, whatever. Hopefully they've stopped. I think they've stopped by now, but they started dipping. So as a deterrent, I found their cans of dip, and I had some of this ghost pepper dust left over, so I put a little bit in there and shook it up, and then set the can back where they had it. The story I got was my middle son was driving, took a big wad of chew, put it in his mouth, and literally had to pull over to spit it out because it was so hot. And I get a phone call. What did you do? Yeah. So that was. So if you ever want to deter your kids from dipping tobacco or whatever, get some ghost pepper dust.
Or Carolina Reaper dust.
Or visit Craig's Pepper Factory.
All right, so how did your son find this thing?
So he found it at a local store that he thought that we would want to try it, and on the top of it, it actually has a spin top that tells you which jelly bean you would then eat. So you have a choice of Serrano jelly bean, a jalapeno jelly bean, a cayenne jelly bean, and a Carolina Reaper. So you spin this top, which you can hear at the top, and it has each one of them displayed on the top, and I just spun a cayenne.
Well, that doesn't count.
Yeah.
Brian has to go first. He doesn't have one of these yet.
Oh man.
So first let's open it up and make sure we have a good sack and a good selection and that we have Carolina Reaper in there. Yes, we do.
So there's another version of this Bean Boozled that has
the flavor
like
it's a good flavor and a bad flavor, right?
Like you can have a vomit tasting one, and you can have a spearmint tasting one. And and actually, it's up to you to pick which one. I don't think it's chosen.
You don't know.
You don't know.
It just they're the same color.
I'm not
do
gonna
it.
This.
Come on.
Come on, it's egging you on.
Freaking peer pressure. Kids, don't do this. Oh, you piece of crap.
Habanero.
Can I do another one?
You can spin again, but
you can pick one of the two.
You don't have to go with the second one. whatever it is.
Oh, yeah. No, I like that.
You can
Either.
spin again. Habanero is the second hottest in there.
I know, that's the one I don't want.
Oh, you want the Carolina Reaper?
No, I'd rather have the jalapeno.
Jalapeno.
Jalapeno, that's right.
Go ahead, spin again.
This is not smart.
Oh, come on.
What are you scared of?
I don't know.
Come
I've
on,
been
you
through
get
the
the
burning.
It
sriracha.
tastes better than that bourbon.
Yeah.
But it hangs for like 20 minutes.
Not the, like, other ones. Now,
The Reaper does.
the Reaper does. I'm still recovering.
You got habanero again.
All right, you're stuck with it.
There you go. There's one habanero for you.
All right, I'll go next.
All right. Don't sniff it. Just eat it.
Habanero. I'm right there with you.
No, I don't have another habanero. Spin again.
You don't have another one in the
Spin
whole
again.
thing?
Spin again,
Yeah,
Ben.
you do.
Yeah, I know. I got another one, but I want you to spin again.
I want to try the habanero. I already tried
All right.
the Carolina
All right.
Reaper.
Oops. There we go.
We don't have
We're
anything.
using up all your beans here, but
We don't
That's
have
all right.
anything
There you go.
cream-based
I'm
today.
gonna struggle with Brian over here.
All right, Craig.
We'll suffer together.
We'll post a link to this as well. I'm not liking this. This is where the podcast goes south.
Habanero.
Oh,
I don't have a habanero, so I'm going to spin again. Jalapeno. I'll eat
suck.
2 jalapenos.
okay,
suck.
fair enough. Ready?
Yeah.
Here we go.
Oh, not good.
It's a much more enjoyable flavor than the Reaper. The habanero. It's sweeter.
Habanero, sweet.
Stuck in your teeth.
It starts burning your gums. That is much more enjoyable than the Reaper, no doubt. Oh, but it's still hot. It's lingering.
Cayenne.
Do
Oh, look,
three.
there's 3 cayennes here.
You're
What
a
do you
glutton.
know?
No.
1,
You're a glutton for
2,
punishment.
3. There we go.
I agreed to one. I'm
I'm good.
enjoying that flavor.
Cayenne is good.
Yeah.
Try the
Well,
cayenne.
no. I'm saying
The habanero?
habanero is my favorite.
That's hot.
It's hot, but it's not as bad.
Here, try the sriracha.
Good.
Look, I've got 3 over here that are red and black.
Red and black.
Yeah,
What's that?
don't worry about it.
Oh, the Carolina Reaper.
Have you had the Reaper yet?
Oh, I have had.
I'm not doing the Reaper. I'll tell you that right now.
I already had that earlier. I burnt the left side of my tongue, so then I wound up using the habanero on the right side, and now it's about even.
Yeah.
Is
I can't
blood-
feel any of my tongue.
Is blood a bad sign?
Yeah. Wash it down with that nasty bourbon.
I can't imagine what alcohol would do to this. Try it once. Just try a shot, see what it does.
It doesn't bother it.
I would rather taste that habanero than that.
Eat that.
All right. Sriracha?
Yep.
No.
Yeah, it is. No,
I'll do
that's
sriracha.
sriracha.
See, I think I would like the sriracha because I use sriracha a lot.
Here, have a sriracha.
Let me let this go away, but I'll do it. That's not a sriracha.
Oh, what do you know? It isn't.
Sucker.
There's a cayenne right there. I don't have
I
a
think
sriracha.
I'm holding up better
Wait.
on the
Here.
the habanero than the
That's
sriracha.
Are you sure?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that's not black dots on that one.
Let me see the
That's
can.
the sriracha. That's habanero. That's sriracha. See?
I don't know, dude.
It is. It's a clear one. This is yellow. This is more yellow. It is. That's the sriracha.
I don't know.
I'll eat it. If you're worried about it, you eat that one. I'll eat this one.
I need to do a color comparison. Let me see.
So I got an idea for the next podcast. We should do cigars.
Oh, you know what we ought to do?
We could probably run the wires outside, right? Do a cigar review.
I'll figure a way. But you know what we ought to do is
What?
Here's
Here's the sriracha. I'll take your Reaper out.
what was it called? That tastes like a tire. And what was that called? It was
It's Ardbeg.
Aardvark.
You call it Ardvark.
Aardvark.
Shoot.
We should do that with the cigar. That was
We should do it again.
so.
Yeah.
Here's my suggestion. We'll do Johnny Walker Black, Johnny Walker Double Black, and then the Aardvark with the cigar.
The Aardvark does not go well with anything but a cigar.
Right. That's why we do it last with the cigar.
It's horrible by itself. Craig, my mouth is on fire right now. Like, my tongue it's just inflamed everywhere.
and that was the Sriracha one that did it?
The Sriracha, for some reason, I like that one the least. The habanero is my
Can I see the
favorite.
can? I gotta do a couple.
But I've tasted all of them at this point.
This is the Reaper.
The dot,
Great.
the black
That is
dot.
the Reaper. That's totally the Reaper. You suck.
Try it.
No, I'm not
Come
gonna,
on.
No, I can't do it. I mean, the habanero wasn't bad. It's gone now. It's
Yeah, see, it's
Habanero's
gone.
good.
Here. Try the jalapeno.
All right, I'll try the habanero. That's number 2.
Yeah, that's number 2.
I'm sweating over here now.
And you're not going to have a formed number 2 after this.
It'll taste just like a jalapeno.
Yep, I told you. So now, here, try the sriracha.
It's not sriracha.
That one's sriracha.
Sriracha looks like the orange.
Yeah, that's orange. Ben, is that not orange?
Which one?
Isn't that not orange? See, now this is the Reaper.
Yeah, that's the Reaper.
Yeah, that's the sriracha.
So the jalapeno, that doesn't burn at all.
No, the sriracha is the lowest.
Sriracha's literally...
Is that the one you just had?
Yeah, but
Yeah.
it did the most damage. But I think it was,
It's vinegary.
it was after the habanero. That's the problem.
All right,
Yeah.
I'll try the sriracha. Yeah, you're laughing like that's the Reaper. Yeah, that one's a little hotter than hell. Was that the Reaper?
I think so.
Oh, you suck. Was it really? You suck.
If it's the Reaper, it'll keep coming.
Like, takes your breath away.
Does it keep coming? It doesn't stop. It keeps the salt.
It's bad. It like hurts in the beginning, and then it goes up like it's twice as bad at one point, and then it slowly trickles back.
That was
down.
the Reaper.
Is it still hitting you?
Yeah, it's getting worse. You suck.
You want some
I'll
bourbon
take
to
one.
wash it down?
You want me to take one?
You should
that
take
is
2.
horrible.
Get Craig to do 2. I want to see this.
I already did. I already did a couple of them. There's 2.
Wow.
Whoa. Whoa.
That like hits the back of the
You need
throat.
another piece of cheesecake?
I got one there. Whew.
That's not nice. That is really hot. Oh, I'm starting to get a headache.
Oh, my eyes are tearing. Oh.
Is it an hour and a half?
Wow. That's
So which one did you have the Sriracha or the Reaper?
I had the Reaper earlier today.
I mean, the one you just had.
There's your 2.
And then the Sriracha.
Take your pills.
You said they're pills?
Yeah.
All right. Down the hatch.
Which one was that? Which one was that?
Both Reapers.
He took 2 Reapers?
Yeah. And alcohol.
Ooh. You're going to have a burning ring of fire tomorrow. you're going to be in church and you're going to feel hell.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Ooh.
It is twice as bad with 2.
Man, I'm like, I can't.
It doesn't stop.
I need something. Can I eat the rest of that?
My poop is gonna be glowing tomorrow morning.
Here, go ahead and eat that. That'll help.
Yeah.
I'm all out. Why do they think this is fun?
Have some courage and conviction, Brian.
No. I'll puke.
It'll probably like light on fire as soon as that goes in.
Yeah.
Oh, this was fun.
Yeah, it was a great
That was
time.
a nice test.
Thanks for joining us, Craig.
Yeah.
Next
no
time
problem.
you come over, leave that at home.
For real.
Sure thing.
Well, if you made it this far, you're a real winner. I mean,
Yeah.
it took a lot
Another
of listening.
hour and a half.
Yeah, so we had another good episode. I think this guest thing's really working out. Really adds a lot to it.
And I think what we're going to do, we're going to post this in 3 30-minute.
Okay, we're going to break them down.
Yeah, we've got another hour and a half podcast with Mark
Okay.
last.
Got a lot of editing to do. This one, not so much.
Yeah, I mean, a little bit of editing, but I think we're going to do this in 3 30-minute segments for each.
Go ahead and pick yourself up a bottle of Yellowstone. I recommend it. That's what I'm taking away from this tonight. And thanks for listening.
Yep. We got to do that.
Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year.
Right.
And we're done.